This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath for the May Command Post Finals. In the top right-hand corner as the green GDI, this is Drive. In the bottom left-hand corner as the pink Traveler 59, this is MasterLeaf. Alright, as this game gets going, there's something we need to discuss. I was actually live casting this game as it unfolded, but I'm casting it again now from replays. Isn't that weird? As it turns out, this series had some connectivity problems. I believe MasterLeaf, according to MasterLeaf, they were on his side. He has to play via tethering on his phone. So that's not a great connection, and apparently it was giving him more trouble than not this day. And also, I didn't realize what this tournament was, so in the actual live recording of this game, I was talking about some stuff that wasn't relevant, and this is a relatively short game, spoiler alert, and we'll get into why in just a minute. For now, Small Town USA was the map. This was actually, I believe, chosen by the viewers of someone's stream. Just before the game started, MasterLeaf said someone else should choose the starting map, and then someone in the in-game chat said the viewers suggested Stusa, and so Drive was like, yeah, that's okay with me. And yeah, so that's how we ended up on Small Town USA. A very bizarre method of choosing the map, but, you know, kind of works out. Rifleman squad going to be engaging that building. MasterLeaf picks up his MCV, flies it north, and then drops it right back down. And he's building something. He's building something sneaky. Couple of MCVs, one MCV, couple of APCs loading up with some rocket troopers on the north side of the map. While on the south side of the map, we got ourselves a nerve center coming in. MasterLeaf going for a very sneaky Tier 2 kind of a play. What could he be planning? Back on Drive side of the map, the MCV is all packed up, ready to head to the expansion, as I believe this is the 5th APC, going to be heading on down south to MasterLeaf's side of the map. APC's all loaded up with rocket squads, going to be doing pretty good versus these gunwalkers. Gunwalker's going to have to pull on back. Ooh, look at that, a stasis chamber. He's getting fast legs. What could he be building from this portal? It's cultists! Yay! What are these APCs going to do? Well, of course, they're pulling to the south side where they can fight these gunwalkers, and going to be trading out against them pretty nicely here. Of course, rocket troopers give the APCs a lot of extra power. One rocket trooper jumps out, jumps into that structure, and is going to be able to provide additional support. Cultists jump forward. The MCV is on the front lines, and Drive unpacks it just in time. Nothing to worry about there. Drive here on the front lines, reestablishing his MCV very close to MasterLeaf's front line. Got himself a watchtower, jumps the building, or sells it off, jumps the rifleman squad, I assume, into that building, and going to give himself a little bit of protection from these cultists. Fast Legs finally gets purchased by MasterLeaf. 5 gunwalkers here on the front line for MasterLeaf. And Drive, he's got his MCV on the front line. He's got a command post on the front line, getting AP ammo. A couple of Predator tanks joining up, as well as this airfield. Harvester going to be under threat. Pretty dangerous location there for MasterLeaf's Harvesters. On this edge of the field, it's going to become increasingly more difficult. Drops the Icor seed there, and double barracks right onto the front line for Drive. One Harvester taking a lot of damage. Hammerhead here as well as Drive pushes forward. One APC gets grabbed by a cultist, but it gets gunned down and returned to Drive's control. One Harvester down, a second one stepping forward into the temporal wormhole. Going to be slowed down a little bit there. Actually, I guess just enemy units slowed down. As these Harvesters now going to be getting targeted and eliminated by Drive. The APCs that MasterLeaf captured have indeed gone down. Both of the Harvesters go down, and the last Harvester there on the front lines goes down. MasterLeaf with one Harvester here grabbing a couple of those Predator tanks as well, and the wormhole dissipates there as Drive has backed up his MCV and moved away from the front line, sold off the command post, keeping the airfield at least for now. Tons of rocket squads, but we got some tripods here for MasterLeaf, but also a little bit of a prodigy. That's so nice. Gets the kill on one APC as the Predator tank turns around to re-engage his previous allies, but now his opponents. He doesn't know what he's doing, guys. He just doesn't know. He's such a lost soul. MCV over here for Drive should be unpacking momentarily. Long distance harvesting in the north, stealing a couple of loads of Tiberium. MasterLeaf is heading up that way with a couple of cultists, a couple of gunwalkers as well. Storm Column here just to help the tripod in the defense, and Drive has pulled all the way back. No more attacking for him. Maybe a little bit of attacking with those hammerheads. MasterLeaf has been defeated. Now, the story that isn't told in this replay, and also I was somewhat confused when the game ended right there. I didn't realize he had lost literally all of his harvesters when I was casting it live. But the other bit of the story is the game was lagging a little bit. So, and by a little bit, I mean there were a couple of pretty bad lag spikes. So I cast Game 2 live, and then I actually dropped out of Game number 3. The lag was a little bit too much, and I didn't want to be, you know, adding to the problem. So I decided it's a better experience for me, it's a better experience for you, the viewer, if I just cast from the replays. It's less exciting than casting live, but I don't know how this series ends. I do know how game number 2 ends, and of course I knew how game number 1 ends. But in a 6-minute game, I'm not too worried about not having the best cast on this because it's not fresh and I don't know what's going on. Anyways, that'll do it for game number 1. Drive is up 1-0 in this best of 7 series. Can MasterLeaf bring it back in game number 2? Let's find out with live Sybert before returning to replay Sybert. Which takes us to Tournament Highlands. On the left side as the orange Black Hand, this is MasterLeaf. Down 0-1 on the right side as the green GDI, this is Drive. So, MasterLeaf, after that last game, did request potentially playing with no OBS. We're going to try this game with OBS, and if this doesn't work, then it'll switch over to replay mode. And yeah, it looks like the connection is not quite what MasterLeaf would like. He feels a little bit on tilt because of the lag, and you know, wants to be able to play in his best form, which is understandable. You don't want to feel like you're losing because you're because of things outside of your control. So we'll have to see how this goes. Maybe the rest of these games will just be replays. They won't actually be cast live, and we'll see how that goes. So that's the update on the in-between game. Other than that, things are looking fairly standard. Black Hand versus GDI again. Kind of feels like we're playing this tournament back in 2014 or something with these factions and with these matchups. But Black Hand, obviously, great infantry. Everybody knows that. And for a long time, Black Hand was a kill them early kind of faction. Well, maybe it still is, as an operations center gets dropped down there, which is why MasterLeaf was on the anti-scout path there with his Confessors. And he's going to go Reckoner, and it's actually just going to be Reckoner and the Black Hand squads. And second operations center, I assume, is going to drop down and then be sold off. Yeah, so he's not keeping them around for additional flame tanks. Some people like to go double Reckoner, something like that. But no, it's just going to be single Reckoner, no flame tank follow-up, and then he's probably just going to try and macro get into a normal eco game after that. MCV on the move, double refinery for Drive, and the pit bulls are heading the wrong direction. Unfortunately for Drive, his pit bulls are going to completely miss this Reckoner. He's going to know soon enough. Yep, he's going to definitely see it there, and all of the pit bulls are now going to converge on this Reckoner's location, but he got pretty close, which means he can find an ideal spot behind one of these buildings. Deploys right there. He's going to get one refinery almost certainly. He may have to eject out the... the engineer may be able to pop out in time to save the refinery, but no, it does get flamed down before the engineer can step on out. The Reckoner does survive just a little bit longer than that refinery, which means he's going to split out his units. He's going to try and flame down a couple more structures as well. Confessor Cabal squads making this a little bit more difficult than it otherwise would be, with all of these Confessors here just chasing down Pitbulls and adding that little bit of damage, which makes this slightly harder to stop, as just the extra bit of DPS helps. And look at that. MasterLeaf cleans up 2 power plants. The Watchtower also went down. The Predator tank on the crush path over here, which means it's not trying to stop these guys back here. Pulling a Harvester off the line, and MasterLeaf is just running for it, even going to split his units to try and do maximum annoyance damage. The longer that Harvester is off the line, the better of a chance of catching up MasterLeaf has. He's now gone back into his 2 refineries. He's got enough Harvesters for saturation, and he can start working on that extra field, on that expansion field. And of course, you don't want to leave a Black Hand squad out here next to your Tib Spike. You want to kill it, otherwise it's going to flame down your Tib Spike and you're going to lose that income. So which is worse, losing the Tib Spike or the extra lost mining time from sticking around? One more power plant may end up going down. It does get eliminated there, and that sends Drive into low power mode, forced to sell off, and the APC and that Rifleman squad should be able to clean up this Black Hand squad eventually. And looks like there was a Confessor mixed in there as well. But in this case, that APC actually went down because of the Confessor upgrade, which has finally been purchased there. Not so much finally, but has been purchased there by MasterLeaf. And another power plant may actually go down, just barely. It gets eliminated. Oh my gosh. This has gone tremendously well for MasterLeaf. Power plants are not the most expensive thing in the world, but when you add on top of how much delay that has caused Drive, when you add on top having to rebuild all of those power plants, even just the annoyance of toggling on and off your buildings just to try and avoid that low power mode. Ooh, and stealing the blue Tiberium as well. Extra annoying for MasterLeaf, although Drive is going to be doing the same thing. A little bit of a longer drive for him back to that refinery, but he's going to be okay no matter what. With that Tiberium, rather, not necessarily in this game. We'll have to see how he does in this game, but what a lovely opening here for MasterLeaf. Now he's causing a little bit more problems. He's got this one Confessor squad down here. Of course, the only thing remaining there is the Black Hand leader at the top of that squad, which means Drive has to split off units or base defenses to try and deal with that individually, rather than just stopping this attack over here. And he will be able to take it down. Oh my gosh, that one Black Hand squad member did so much damage to that Conyard, taking it almost down to half health. Almost would be worth just dropping an engineer to get the fast repair that way. I don't know if it would actually be worth it, but it feels like it would. Crane gets dropped down by MasterLeaf on the other side of the map, and of course he's just gone for infantry as the follow-up, which allowed him to get his economy online. I mean, look at this. He's cooking 5 Harvesters on this field, 3 or 4 up here in the north. I guess 1 transferring there, so 4 down here, which is still plenty for his little Tiberium as still remains in that field. And MasterLeaf has transitioned very nicely out of that very aggressive opening into what can be just a very solid mid-game. He's got out a little squad of bikes, 6 bikes, has a lot of Harvester killing potential in it, and even with, you know, a couple of Watchtowers or APCs around, you can do a little bit of damage to those Harvesters, and runs in here, just gets off a volley, and then is going to try and escape so that the infantry can finish off these APCs. And of course, the annoying thing for Drive, no AP ammo on top of all of this, where he would have liked to have been able to get out some upgrades ordinarily, and it just actually does finish. So AP ammo just now online, and 1 more APC may end up going down to these bikes here. No, looks like they will just barely survive, and the bikes do manage to escape as well, but a very nice mid-game transition from both of these guys. Tier 3 is up, which means 1 clicks are most likely going to be on the way very soon, perhaps over there, for MasterLeaf, and then we can say goodbye to at least one of these refineries. Maybe, yeah, no, just one of those refineries. Maybe a Harvester as well, but we'll have to see. 2 refineries up here as well. MasterLeaf going to be taking a look inside this base with his Confessors. Got a big group of infantry near the middle of the map, but nothing there too much to worry about. And of course, he's been able to flame down 1 Tib Spike. The other one does remain, while MasterLeaf still maintains control of both of his spikes. Hammerhead's now out. If MasterLeaf is paying attention, then they have been revealed, and he most likely is going to be queuing up some Tier 3, or maybe even some other anti-air. Charged particle beams have been purchased by our Black Hand squad guy, our Black Hand player, and no, somewhat surprisingly, no tib chemical plant, which, So we got the double MCV, and yeah, you don't really need the crane if you're going double MCV like that. So he's expanding out to the middle of the map. Flame tank around the north side of the map is going to finish off that tib spike, which will cue Drive in a little bit here, and Drive's going to be like, ooh, MCV versus MCV in the middle of the map, but of course, it's double MCV versus just the single MCV of Drive. And MasterLeaf is probably going to start causing some havoc with this flame tank in just a minute, which is going to be supported by quite a lot of infantry, unless the infantry are forced to pull down into the middle of the map. Double obelisk in the middle of the map, which is going to start targeting down this Reclamator hub. They do pretty good DPS to a Reclamator hub, apparently. I don't know that I've ever actually seen obelisks kill a Reclamator hub, but they actually are most likely going to get the kill here, and another obelisk may be popping out. Just, that doesn't even need a second obelisk, is just going to get it with the last one that does remain. Drive going for the power plant. It's a great move here. MasterLeaf better make sure that he upgrades the ones in the middle of the map. Over in the north, Predator tanks and APC is going to be going for the crush on some of these rocket troopers. They're going to be able to even things up a little bit here, and it looks like that infantry will mostly fall in the north. Juggernauts are going to help break this middle of the map. Purifiers also here to try and flame down some of those sonic emitters, but in the north, a lot of upgraded power plants. The second MCV also potentially under threat, and I don't know that MasterLeaf has a good answer for this. Right now, his answer is just rebuild everything into the middle of the map. One refinery goes down, but the MCV is under threat, and I believe this is Drive's. No, it's not his only MCV. The flame tank comes down the right side of the map. It gets eliminated by the Juggernaut. It doesn't manage to get that con yard, and again, the Hammerheads continuing to just tear through power plant after power plant after power plant of MasterLeaf. He may actually end up losing the Tib Chemical Plant as well. Redeemer is out on the field, and it looks like the Tib Chemical Plant will just barely survive there, as that Hammerhead will not escape either. MCV is down and out. Juggernaut's going down, and MasterLeaf slowly but surely pushing Drive out of the middle of the map, doing some damage even on the right side of this map with that flame tank a little while ago. Hammerhead trying to thin out this infantry herd, but I don't think that's really what he needs to be worried about. Such a strong position MasterLeaf is in. Such a strong position that he may have even forgotten about trying to harvest away this blue Tiberium. Both of these guys too focused on other stuff. What a great game from MasterLeaf. Drive showing absolute contention for most of it, but not quite enough to be in sort of an equal position. He's definitely been beaten back, and in this case, he may have trouble coming back from this kind of a position. Well, there's one refinery down. It took a long time for the Tib Chemical Missile to actually, or the Tib Catalyst Missile to actually show up, and I guess that was actually a clone Redeemer. That wasn't even the real guy out on the map. He was just using it for vision. And then goodbye, one refinery. MasterLeaf continuing to control the middle of the map where all of the late game money is. Drive really should try and invest in sneaking some blue Tiberium out of this map. And it looks like he's doing that. He has units up here. But using these green fields also might be what he has to do to try and stay in this game. Juggernaut's going down in the south, and it looks like MasterLeaf is going to be able to punch through this army. He's doing just obelisks on the front line. Well, no, he's not. He's not actually pushing further. So he's actually kind of just pulling back, holding the line for now. I'm not sure what his total plan is here. He's going to clean up those two Predator tanks in the north and I guess try and draw Drive out of position or something. Rage Gen fires off. APC's starting to do some damage to each other. Hammerheads also flying over, doing a little bit of damage to the APCs. And, well, there's the Operation Center base creep for the Obelisk. Double Obelisk onto the front line. I thought he would have been targeting down the Juggernauts, but he's actually going for the APCs, I guess, so the bikes can come in and finish off the Hammerheads and the Juggernauts. The Hammerheads all go down. GG gets called, and Drive has been defeated in game number 2. MasterLeaf much more in control in this game. And from my perspective, I think it's going to be a couple of minutes before I actually cast the next game. I think we're going to have to go into replay mode, which is, you know, good for me. But that was a super fun game number 2. I really enjoyed that. Felt kind of bad for Drive. He had a strong opening, but then he just wasn't able to get back into the lead. And from there, he was just kind of playing from behind. And that will do it for game number 2. Let's jump into game number 3. And game 3 is on Tournament Crater. Pretty darn new map in the north as the pink Black Hand. This is MasterLeaf. In the south as the green GDI. This is Drive. So in game number 2, you guys saw a little bit of lag. I know the first couple of minutes of this game, I didn't see how it ended, so I do know that no one dies in the first couple minutes. So that's the spoiler that I know. That is the bit that I'm aware of. But yeah, I ended up dropping out of this game from the live cast, and I figured I would just do it from replays. A couple of tip spikes on each side of the map, 2 per player. A couple of lovely bunkers spread throughout the map as well. Expansion points in the middle. And as you may have seen, mutant hovels in the north and the south. Very close to your main base as well, which is very nice to see. Command post is here for Drive. And, yeah, I don't know how this series ends up. I do know that in game number 2, MasterLeaf, because he was having trouble with the lag, switched over to Black Hand. I think he was maybe feeling Black Hand a little less micro-intensive than Traveler 59. And whether that's fact or just his opinion, that is, I believe, why he decided to switch over to Black Hand. And as you can see, he's continuing that trend here in game number 3. He may very well... Oh, by the way, EMP control centers also 1 per player, each side of the map. As you may be able to tell, he may decide to play Black Hand for the rest of the tournament. Command post and airfield going to be used to call in transports for those engineers to either side of the map. Orcas also out on the map for Drive. They get spotted by this buggy in the middle of the map, and MasterLeaf going to be chasing these Orcas all the way back home. Drive looking to do that extra bit of damage to the Harvesters by rushing to those Orcas. But MasterLeaf is here for the defense. 1 tip spike captured, and the second tip spike captured as well by Drive. So Drive now has 4 tip spikes under his control, which is pretty difficult to do on any map, but Drive has managed to do it. Now on this map, this is just around the time that I ended up dropping out. But on this map, as you can see, the MCVs unpack onto the high ground in this little kind of area that's almost kind of marked out for your MCV to unpack, and then you can build on the low ground, so you don't have to walk all the way down to the low ground to be able to get your expansion up and running. Orcas swinging around to the right side for Drive. Buggy's going to be trying to chase them away. 1 Orca very low on health, and double War Factory coming out for MasterLeaf, continuing to pump out those buggies, switching over to bikes now, and Drive doing the same thing, packing his MCV along to the edge, and then going to be setting up his natural expansion relatively soon. Orcas trading out with bikes, and of course it's just like the 1 Orca missile to be able to kill a bike, and Drive able to do some nice damage there. The Orca barely manages to escape with just about a pixel of health, just a bit more of health, and pulls on back to the airfield. Going to be able to get those repairs and then return to some potential bombing runs. Predator tanks going to be the transition for Drive. Hasn't actually dropped anything down on the low ground, and this Orca actually getting chased all the way back home by these bikes and buggies. Predator tanks going to be stepping forward for the defense, going for the bikes first, and then the buggies after that want to try and clear the ground. 2 Orcas down for Drive, and now all of the Orcas have been eliminated. MasterLeaf really wanted to kill those Orcas and stop them from being problematic for his Harvesters. And, you know, can you blame him? Not really. Refinery on the low ground for MasterLeaf. Hand of Nod as well going down. Looks like it's going to be a watchtower there just to get those Cabal squads out of there. Stop them from causing any trouble for Drive, and should be dropping the refinery, I assume. Okay, yeah. Does finally drop the refinery on the low ground there. Did take him a little while to actually get that one out. But MasterLeaf in the north, going to be reclaiming at least one of the tip spikes. I don't know if he realized that the other one has also been grabbed. Okay, he dropped actually a second hand of Nod. Going to be grabbing at that engineer over there. Orcas once again heading out, 2 of them this time to the right side of the map for Drive. I'm not sure what the battle marker there was, possibly a little bit of damage, I guess, on this buggy from that squad there. Bike's going to be pulling over to the right side of the map. Good thing for MasterLeaf, he spotted this Orca attack with his buggy doing that little bit of a scout. Engineer hops into the bunker, gets on out, and is going to be able to reclaim that tib spike. I think that was worth it for Drive. I think he definitely held those longer than 50 seconds. So stealing the income from MasterLeaf as well as getting a couple of extra dollars himself. 2 refineries on the low ground for each player's nice natural expansions all set up. Blue fields in the corner as well. I forgot to mention this on the go-around of the map, on the kind of recon of the map in the beginning. This one rifleman squad trying to poke away at that bike, doing what damage they can, and of course bikes are so weak that a one rifleman squad actually can do a pretty significant amount of damage to them. Secret Shrine on the way, Tier 2 getting dropped as well, most likely getting those Confessor Cabal upgrades, and actually a second MCV out here for MasterLeaf. He's been loving this multi-MCV play, which does feel like something that Bike Rush would do a lot in years past. I feel like Bike Rush did it more when he was ahead. Instead of going for like a big army to kill you right now, he would produce like 3 MCVs, so he'd have 4 build queues at once, and then he'd just slowly kill you that way. He'd expand in like 2 different places, and then base push you with an MCV on top of all of that. Stuff like that. And MasterLeaf is doing what he can to optimize that kind of a build and kind of bring new life into that kind of a play. 1 harvester goes down. That was a blue tib harvester as well, worth twice as much as a normal harvester. And this MCV takes a ton of damage on the left side of the map. Not sure what the battle marker over here was, but MasterLeaf going to be rushing down to try and defend this. A lot of Predator tanks here. Well, 6 Predator tanks. Not a lot, but enough to do some serious damage to this MCV. Power plant gets dropped to try and keep them off of that MCV. Hammerheads, almost said hammer tanks, Hammerheads here to help finish off that MCV, and 1 SAM site does go down before the MCV finally gets wasted. Drive overwhelming the forces of MasterLeaf and able to totally shut down that SAM site as well. MCV on the move from the high ground, but this is a 3rd MCV. Takes a lot of damage before unpacking the dangers of being on that ramp. And of course, 1 obelisk is pretty good, but it's not good at shooting up. MasterLeaf has been defeated. The GG gets called, and Drive goes up 2-1 versus MasterLeaf. That kind of felt like a snowball that just kept rolling. I didn't realize that match was going to end right that quickly. Just 7, almost 8 minutes there, as Drive able to reestablish the lead in this tournament. We're going to jump into game number 4, which takes us to Tiberium Rift. On the left side as the pink black hand, this is MasterLeaf. And on the right side as the green GDI, this is Drive. Shutting down that multi-MCV play oh so confidently, and feeling pretty good about his performance in these games up to this point. Going to be capping that tib spike and scouting out with his 4 rifleman squads spread around the map. Of course, you got to be careful when you're up against Black Hand. Of course, they've got those lovely, lovely Confessors, and Cabals are pretty darn good at killing other infantry types. Now, MasterLeaf not quite able to overcome the lag in that last game. I don't know if they continued to play with all of the observers through the entirety of the series, so we'll have to see if he decides to mix up his race, or if maybe the micro plays get more intense from MasterLeaf. One of the unfortunate downsides of the netcode of a game this old even though the community is still alive, still playing some fantastic matches even in the year 2020. The disadvantages of some of the technology of a rushed game from 2008. Operations Center coming down for MasterLeaf, going into that Tier 2. Probably just a Flame Rush, though. I assume he's going to sell that off pretty quickly. Could be a Reckoner Rush. Could be a couple of Flame Tanks. We'll have to see what MasterLeaf decides to go for. He doesn't have a second Operations Center queued, so it's not going to be a Reckoner. So he's just going single Black Hand Squad inside of that Reckoner. And I don't know if he's trying to fake Drive out a little bit here, or, you know, he assumes this isn't going to work because Drive's seen it, or what. But he decides to hold off on that second Black Hand Squad. Just goes for the one, and for now, Drive is going to have pretty good eyes on everything in the middle of the map. Reckoner heading down south. The APC will miss it, killing a Confessor Cabal squad in the north. And for now, he's going to get pretty darn close to this base before this Predator tank actually spots him and turns to actually fire the first shot on this Reckoner. Nice position next to this refinery, next to the MCV as well, of course. Watchtower going down, and this engineer might be able to pop into this refinery just in time. It's going to be a close fight either way. And got the Confessor Cabal squad as well. And there's the repair of that engineer. And I guess having the Confessor in there as well just adds a little bit of extra DPS, but not a whole lot. And in this case, no extra units. Okay, so that could have gone better, I think is safe to say. He's going to go ahead and leech the blue Tiberium, it looks like Drive is, so maybe not the best opening for MasterLeaf. He's got those 2 refineries up and running, got his 5 harvesters, adding on a 6th as well. Could be dropping something else before he decides to pack up his MCV and head for the expansion. Second War Factory here for Drive, going hard in the production before the expansion. Maybe there will be no expansion from these guys. Could be a little bit more of an aggressive game. Double Hand of Nod. The MCV is still here. One last power plant here. And there's actually going to be the pack up of the MCV. So he's not selling it. He's not going for an all-in with the MCV. Nothing like that. Drive packs up as well. Okay. All right. We can all breathe a little easier as Rocket Squad's going to be pushing on in. And Secret Shrine almost done with the Confessor upgrade. So there we go. We now have Black Disciples mixed into every single Rocket Squad and Confessor Squad. And sometimes they hang out on the outside of buildings, you know, because some kind of weird bug with the game where garrisoned units, instead of the Confessor Squad or the Black Hand Squad member getting added later, like when the squad exits the building, it just gets added to the outside of a building. I always thought that was such a funny kind of visual glitch that happens. One harvester gets transferred, takes a little bit of damage from those pit bulls just before the rocket squads can kind of escort it safely. MasterLeaf pushing in the north, and Drive's MCV taking a long time to actually get there. Drops the command post, gets his tier 2 up and running. His AP ammo is the thing that he wants out on the field. And the Shatterer, one of the few tier 2 units people actually bother to build, even if it's not every game. I guess that and flame tanks and dev tanks are somewhat common, but still not very common. A lot of tier 1 and tier 3 just jump right to it in a lot of these games. Pitbull's hanging out in the middle of the map, and this infantry army is going to be able to flame down that tib spike extremely quickly. Drive losing that extra bit of income. Battle marker over here is just the tib. And, well, that one Confessor squad, which, you know, one tank not being able to kill 2 infantry just slowly walking their way into your base would be an embarrassing failure of intelligence, but it's okay in this game. Couple of Confessor squads going down in the south there, even getting himself the Purifying Flame upgrade, spending lots of cash on those upgrades. Shatterer going to help break this army, but I think ultimately these APCs won't be able to break through to the Harvesters. A couple more reinforcements should help finish things off, and might actually need to drop maybe even a laser turret or something. Pitbull's coming in from the north as MasterLeaf having trouble holding off the attacks from Drive back down south. Not quite able to get any harvesters here, as Drive is unable to actually get the kills on the harvesters. Laser turrets push back the stuff on the front line as Drive is forced to pull on back and I guess head north as the Shatterer gets off a last couple of shots. Shatterer is good at clearing out infantry, but, you know, they don't have a ton of health, so they will be overwhelmed and destroyed here by those rocket squads. Drive heading north as well, going to be potentially targeting some power plants or something. Flame Tank pops on out for MasterLeaf. Always got to watch the edges of the map with a guy like MasterLeaf around. You don't want to sneaking Flame Tanks into your base like on Highlands. That just would not be good. Pitbull in the south going to be heading back that way. And wow, this APC gets the Flame Tank gets spotted by the APCs and almost eliminated by them. And of course, with the Purifying Flame upgrade, they do have a pretty cool skin that applies to them automatically. You have to pay quite a bit for it, but of course, it's not a real money purchase, just an in-game money purchase. One APC goes down, a second one almost gets eliminated just as it's driving by, and this last one might end up going down to the Flame Tank. Yes, it does. One Flame Tank eliminated in the middle of the map by the Shatterers and the Predator, as Drive keeping himself safe, keeping eyes on all of these Flame Tanks. Holy cow, Drive has so many units spread out throughout this map. It's like a net of units that you just can't get past. He's just driving everywhere and seeing everything on this map. MCV on the move to the third expansion location. More and more Flame Tanks pumping on out for MasterLeaf. It looks like he's cut them off now as he sends all of his infantry units through a tib field because he doesn't like them that much, and he just wants them to get home to Kane a little bit sooner in the ghost form, of course, not in the real sense. Flame Tank in the north could pull on south and try and hit this MCV. Might be the best value he gets. Actually capturing or killing this airfield may also be the best value he's able to get. Double airfield now out on the field. Looks like Hammerheads are going to be the unit of choice. What are these Rifleman squads even doing? As another MCV pops on out for MasterLeaf. Lots of MCVs this guy is building. Flame Tanks on the lookout is what those Shatterers are trying to do. The Shatterers and the Hammerheads desperately looking for Flame Tanks. They don't realize that one of them has already made it through to this natural expansion. Shutting down these refineries is certainly nice. As this APC goes down to the rockets in the middle of the map, the second refinery gets sold off, and the Tier 2 may be under threat. No, it's not, because it also gets sold off. Hammerheads are the response, and the gun damage will eventually... Holy cow, that Flame Tank killed... That Flame Tank killed a Harvester. It burned down a Harvester in a hilarious way. SamSite's on the front line. Two more Flame Tanks from MasterLeaf, narrowly avoiding that Shatterer. I said nobody builds Tier 2 vehicles, and then suddenly this game has more Tier 2 vehicles than I think we've ever seen before in an individual match of Kane's Wrath. Well, MCV in the north, MCV in the south. What's better than 1/3 expansion? 2 third expansions. No, that doesn't make one of them a 4th expansion. That would be crazy. As Obelisks going down. Big believer in Obelisks is MasterLeaf. May need a couple of Shredder turrets as well. Flame Tanks rushing through the middle of this army, flaming everything down. They're killing Predator tanks. They're killing APCs. They're killing themselves as they explode into tiny little pieces. Hand of Nod goes down as well. Hammerheads rushing through the base of MasterLeaf. Could they kill some power plants to stop the obelisks on the front line? Sure. That would probably be a decent thing to do. 3 more Flame Tanks. You may actually want to split one of them off and just like send it over here into the main base of Drive, into the old main base, as he is rebuilt mostly in the north. What a weird game this has turned into. 2 fresh refineries on that natural expansion for Drive. He's going to be looking for some kind of angle where he can utilize both fields at once. 1 refinery on one field and 2 refineries on the old field as it dries up in just a couple of moments there. MCV on the move. Obelisks getting queued potentially behind this as his Tier 2 is up there, and I guess his other MCV is all the way down here. No Obelisks being queued. Flame Tanks getting hunted by these Hammerheads. I'm not sure that this mass Flame Tank strategy is actually working out to be cost-effective for MasterLeaf. As it turns out, Hammerheads are pretty good against most of the stuff that MasterLeaf is building as Black Hand. And for now, the Hammerheads are actually keeping Drive safe almost every which way. Predator tanks push in the south, do a little bit of damage, and then potentially pull away there as an Orca Strike also gets called in. Flame tanks are now here. The refinery gets sold off. The airfield gets sold off. Selling off buildings is actually better for Drive than losing them to the flame tanks, so good on him. Lots of harvesters going down. 2 harvesters getting eliminated right there, and a Predator tank goes down as well. Tib-core missiles are the nice upgrade that is keeping MasterLeaf in this game, that is keeping his harvesters alive for a little bit longer. This MCV is still here, but there isn't a whole lot else with it. This Obelisk desperately wanting to fire, but the APC won't go within range of it. And this flame tank is just going to turn around and 1v1 that APC and totally crush it. Tier 3 is here, but no railguns on the way for Drive. More harvesters going down. Another one falls in the south. 4 of them are still here, and a fresh refinery as well, which is plenty of harvesters for this field. So MasterLeaf's income will be good if he can ever stabilize, if he can ever actually get these Predator tanks and these APCs out of his field and harvest safely. He will be able to stabilize quite nicely. Drive, on the other hand, has harvested all of his first 2 fields. I guess his main field is starting to regrow a little bit. But he's harvested all of his main 2 fields, and now his 3rd field he can't quite harvest because MasterLeaf is causing so many problems for him. Now in the south, MasterLeaf is finally pushing Drive away. Juggernauts in the north are going to be the solution for how do you get MasterLeaf away from that 3rd field. You just kill him from a distance. You don't engage with the flame tanks. And we're probably going to see flame tanks in about 20 flame tanks rush forward to try and kill this Juggernaut. And they'll do it. They'll do it pretty darn quickly if they can close the distance. Well, also long-distance harvesting the Blue Tiberium, a good move there for Drive, as another Orca Strike does come in. This MCV may be, well, it may be forfeit, it may not, it may be saved by this one Purifying Flame tank in the north, and oh my gosh, this Reclamator hub. Okay, it's not actually going to be under threat because MasterLeaf pulls everything back. The attack does get canceled. That power plant almost going down, but it's still alive. And double War Factory in the south, of course, with the Tier 3 still here, but it's Bike and Buggy as the follow-up. And, hey, can you blame the guy? Bikes are pretty darn good units. The MCV backs up. And, ooh, he's got charged particle beams as well, which is always nice. The Flame Tank has survived. 3 Juggernauts pressing their way across this map, and this field may be harvested a little bit by that epic unit. MCV heading on north. I'm not sure what MasterLeaf's plan is here. His one MCV has just been beaten back, and those units surely will be able to beat back a second MCV. I guess MasterLeaf is hoping his bikes will be able to catch these units out and do some pretty good damage to them. Harvesters here on the front line versus all these 3 Predator tanks, but this is way too many bikes for these 3 Predator tanks to deal with. Even an EMP Raider Buggy locking down these units so that they can be quickly eliminated. It's just Tib damage in the north, doing a little bit of damage to that infantry. That's what that battle marker is. That tank goes down. Drive pushing forward. He thinks he's got the MCV on the run. He thinks he's got MasterLeaf caught and cornered. But MasterLeaf, that's just his second MCV. And actually, a couple of bikes are going to be showing up to try and finish off these Hammerheads once and for all. One SAM site, a second SAM site does get launched, and it does finish off those Hammerheads. So selling off those SAM sites might be the next move for MasterLeaf. Those Hammerheads for Drive have done some serious, serious work. And losing them is very bad for him. Oh my gosh, that's overkill. That one Harvester dying to so many rockets as bikes and rocket troopers joined forces to get the kill on that Harvester. A buggy going down, it looks like there, as Drive continues to pump out Predator tanks. Still no upgrades on them, although it looks like probably Railguns is about to finish. And, well, no need for tungsten shells on this particular matchup, so save you a little cash there. You don't have to go for that. Marv heading on down south, a single railgun squad inside of it from the sell-off of the Reclamators from the Reclamator hub. Zone Raiders are so good, but, you know, we've also seen Marvs get overwhelmed by just mass rocket troopers as you get like 20 or 30 rocket troopers out, and then they just fire 2 or 3 volleys, and the Marv is just about dead from that. Harvesters on the front line, they were told that they could harvest, and they decided not to. Although sometimes when you've got this many harvesters and not enough refineries, it's actually more useful to use the harvesters just to crush infantry. Railguns have finished, which means these harvesters are going to be made short work of if they are not defended. And this is a decent amount of infantry. Most of them are just Confessor Cabal squads, though. They're not actual rocket squads or anything. In the north, this Marv is chasing this Flame Tank and this MCV, both of which are very low on HP and may end up just going down. Drive has definitely spotted this MCV in the middle of the map, being more aware of the positional play of MasterLeaf here. And he did turn around for just a moment and then decides to re-engage and then decides to turn around again. So he's not too worried about that stuff in the north. I guess he's more concerned with the middle of the map or the south part of the map. One Flame Tank once again burning its way through Drive's base. It goes down right there, forcing the sell-off of all kinds of stuff as Drive is desperately trying to pull something out of this game. His MCV has moved to a little bit of a safer location. He's got 2 refineries, so he's got a huge income boost from this third field. All of the harvesters that he had all lined up and ready to refine that Tiberium. Fully upgraded Tier 1 vehicles cutting through some of this Black Hand infantry squads, and MasterLeaf just cannot find a winning angle. Drive, his defense is just a little too good. MasterLeaf keeps getting little bits of damage done, but he just simply can't defeat Drive. And Drive, on the other hand, can't make any real headway against anything that MasterLeaf has been doing. I mean, he did push MasterLeaf back off of his third field, but that's just Drive reclaiming territory that should have been his in the first place. And in this case, he's been able to do it, but not tremendously successfully. A fully heroic Predator tank, always a joy to see. And this is one of the troubles with a guy like MasterLeaf who is spread this far out, is if you move forward in one direction, it's possible that he's just going to sneak in at another angle that you don't expect and then try and hit you in an area that you aren't defended. Although both of these guys are going for their original main bases, Drive slowly going to be moving into the base of MasterLeaf. He even brought along his MCV for the ride. Couple of Confessors, couple of rocket squads in the north going to be potentially doing some damage, and the Redeemer is finally out for MasterLeaf. We saw him draw that Redeemer engineering facility a little while ago. Into the low power mode goes MasterLeaf, so that Obelisk won't do anything for him. I don't know that his MCV actually escaped away. It may have ended up getting swallowed up by these Predator tanks and APCs. 5-unit hit squads is what Drive apparently likes, as he has sent 5-unit hit squads all over the place on this map. And pushing Drive back in the south as MasterLeaf gets crushed in the north, and the infantry get no real damage done to the army of Drive. A couple of rocket squads, a couple of Confessors going down in the north, but they will claim that APC, and they may actually claim this Predator tank as it's trying to kill them one at a time instead of just crushing them, so the rocket troopers will actually win that engagement. A couple of Harvesters may take a little bit of damage here, but I don't think any of them will actually go down considering how few units are actually there. That one tank didn't get the memo. Unfortunate pathing, I think, was the real killer there, rather than anything that either one of the players ended up doing. Pushing back the Harvesters, always a fun attempt, not always successful. As Drive makes progress on the left side of the map, MasterLeaf is finding himself closer and closer to surrounded, rushing forward with a bunch of buggies and a couple of bikes, but they get almost instantly annihilated. And Drive, with the perfect defense, has held off MasterLeaf, and MasterLeaf has been defeated. 3-1 goes the score. I thought that was going to last a little bit longer, but no, MasterLeaf was out of options. I thought MasterLeaf was going to be able to fight it out a touch longer, but no, that will do it. Drive with the long game there. Not that long a game, 20 minutes, decently long game, but holy cow, check out that unit kill-to-death ratio, 4.0 almost for Drive. And of course, that's pretty typical, but I don't think it's normally that high. Like, obviously, Black Hand, because they do so much infantry, you're going to have a low kill-to-death ratio. But Yeah, man, that income in the middle. MasterLeaf way ahead, but then Drive with that third field finally caught up and overtook MasterLeaf. So well played to both of these guys. Let's see what happens in game number 5. Yeah, game number 5. Which takes us to Tiki Turmoil. And the walrus man of your nightmares, he is back in the bottom left-hand corner as the pink-black hand. This is MasterLeaf. In the top right-hand corner as the green GDI. This is Drive. All right, one more game to close up the finals. Tiki Turmoil, get your one Tib spike there and there. And then you got these defensive towers. And that is pretty much it. Which, you know, you don't need much more than that. But it's always nice to see other stuff mixed into a map as well. You know, mutant hovels for people to ignore, that sort of thing. Tiki Turmoil, one of those kind of newer maps. And, ooh, gets the catch on these Cabal squads. Able to clean them up there as Drive takes some heavy losses. And MasterLeaf, if he's able to catch these Rifleman squads with his additional Confessors, then he'll be good to go there. Anytime you see someone really going for the anti-scout, especially as like Blackhand, it always makes you a little bit suspicious. We'll have to see if there's anything from MasterLeaf. And, Operation Center in the north. Harvester pops on out for MasterLeaf, and he desperately was going for the anti-scout there. So that may have tipped Drive off, but some players just also don't like you seeing inside of their base, so that seems fair. A little bit of extra cash for Drive to get his second refinery out. As you can see there, he sent that Harvester back with just half a load of Tiberium to get that refinery out a little faster. Ooh, an Engineer. So this is a little bit of a different Reckoner Rush. It's not the double Flame Hand, double Black Hand Reckoner Rush. And keeps the Hand of Nod around as well. So potential for some other infantry shenanigans, of course, always common from a Black Hand player. But not your typical Reckoner Rush. This one with the Engineer to pop on out and, yep, grab the Tib spike. So he's doing what Drive did to him on Crater, except it's just one Tib spike. So, you know, it's not as much cash. If you get the refinery, this is a pretty good move. If you don't get the refinery, you just get the Watchtower. I don't know that you're happy with the result. He gets the kill on the Watchtower, and then anything else? He's going for something. This Black Hand squad is desperately trying to avoid getting killed, and it mostly doesn't. I don't know that that was worth it. Well, MasterLeaf is going to have to make that opening work for him somehow. Refinery is going to be coming down on the natural expansion for both of these guys relatively soon. 4 Harvesters out on the main field for MasterLeaf, almost to that full saturation point, but just to kind of show you, 5 Harvesters up and running for a little while now from Drive, so that's kind of the delay that puts MasterLeaf at. And of course, MasterLeaf gets to his proper saturation soon enough, but, you know, he had to wait a little bit longer and expend a bit more cash to do it. Keep in mind on this map, we got some blue Tiberium spread out as well. It looks like a Cabal squad going for a little bit of a damage on that Harvester, but really just going for the Scout. And, well, one APC will end up going down, and then these Predator tanks, they're going to have a heyday trying to crush all of these rocket squads, just going back and forth between the two barracks as, well, actually, no, just going back and forth between the one barrack as, well, I don't know what's going to go on here. He drops another Hand of Nod back here. Like, these Predator tanks are just hanging out here. They're not really doing anything. I guess they're keeping the total number of rocket squads down slightly. I don't know if he was hoping to catch MasterLeaf unawares or what, but those 2 Predator tanks, well, they get a couple of infantry kills and not much other than that. But keep in mind, we got this blue Tib that's going to slowly grow over the course of the game. Each player has a blue field, but it is in this little horseshoe shape. You've got, or I guess this little cul-de-sac, you could say. You got a choke point for the entrance and the exit, which we've seen some players in the past try to exploit. You're able to catch your opponent's Harvesters either going in or going out there, and potentially able to kill them, hopefully full of blue Tiberium. Both of these guys most likely will be long-distance harvesting that blue Tiberium, as MasterLeaf is doing that right now, and Drive is catching sight of it. Just a couple of rocket squads hanging out in the Tiberium. And no rig rush so far from Drive. Everyone seems to be doing the rig rush. It's a lovely new dance that you can try along with the Mechapede dance. But, you know, it's a little less fancy footwork than the Mechapede dance. The Mechapede dance is really for advanced dancers only. Airfield going down. And this is, I believe, airfield, yeah, long before Tier 3. So he's, double airfield. Drive really loving the double airfield in this series. He's got himself lots of hammerheads in that last game, and they did pretty well for him. Eventually all going down, but they bought him some nice time. There's a scan by Drive. He's like, ooh, that's a nice Tib chemical plant that you've got. Good thing my refineries are spread out nicely. And, well, good thing I'm going to sell off that refinery, it looks like. As not going to give you the opportunity to take that one down. Of course, means this one's a little more vulnerable in theory. Hallucinated army mixed in here just to make killing this army a little bit more difficult. A couple of hallucinations absorbing a couple of shots there. Goes for the damage on the Tib chemical plant. Going to make selling it off worth a little less. And, wow, this harvester's still taking a bit of damage. Well, this other harvester taking a bit of damage from that foxhole with the rifleman squad. And, I don't actually know what that was. But, harvester's taking a bit of damage. Was that a very weirdly placed third refinery? As, MasterLeaf, he's still got these two... Drive still has these two refineries up and running. Predator tank going down there as Drive moving around with his army. He's looking desperately for a good angle of attack. Of course, obelisks are going to make this attack a little bit more difficult, but for now, the hammerheads are going to be able to pull on to the south. Couple of stray shots here, potentially, on this army as the obelisk charges up. Doesn't manage to actually fire the shot. Bikes are the response, so not a lot of static anti-air from MasterLeaf. He's instead going for the obelisks and then the bikes as the big move here. Drops the hand of nod to body block for that Redeemer engineering facility, buying himself an additional couple of moments, and a lot of forces going down here. APCs and Predator tanks all getting eliminated there by those obelisks and those bikes. Just one airfield now, so no 8 Firehawks or anything like that, as we've seen from, from Bike Rush in the semifinals against Tesla, but I ended up not quite showing those games, but a lot of Firehawk action, we'll just say that. Redeemer out on the field, Obelisk here to pick off these last couple of units, and I don't think Drive is going to be able to get too much more damage done with this Predator tank APC combo. Now, of course, APCs and Predator tanks do have upgrades to make them more viable late game, but I'm genuinely curious, what is the late game plan here for Drive? Because maybe he's going to go Reclamator Hub after this? I mean, he's got his third refinery, his third expansion, rather, up and running. He's got a ton of hammerheads, which is potentially very good, but the main bulk of his ground army just doesn't really exist. He keeps kind of bleeding it away to the forces of MasterLeaf. A couple of watchtowers on the front line. They will end up going down. At least the first one goes down to the EMP and the volley of rockets. A couple of hammerheads going to be getting pushed away in the north, and looks like an Orca strike getting called in as well. One of the Orcas does end up going down. It gets eliminated before it actually gets there, and this is, his tier 3 was so late. This is the thing that I was kind of curious about with Drive. He was doing so much attacking and not getting a whole lot with it that I was kind of wondering what his end of the game plan was. In this case, does he just have nothing to stop this Redeemer? Like, it's going to flame down his tier 3 basically for free. It's going to get this power plant as well, but then it's going to turn north, and he's just going to have to try and make this work with the army that he's got right now. Once his economy dries up, he's going to have a tough time getting getting something to contend with the late-game army of MasterLeaf. I mean, it's a lot of bike buggy, which is not hard to kill, but it's just so many forces. He's got obelisks, which makes breaking the actual base itself so much harder for this Tier 1 Pred Tank APC. He's got the Redeemer, which didn't turn north, which means he can still long-distance harvest that field in the south, but again, this is just going to be a hard game for Drive to end. Maybe if he's able to draw it out a little bit longer, he'll have an opportunity to end the game, but for now, MasterLeaf is just going to press on forward. His extremely weak in health unit's going to be able to take out and overwhelm this GDI force, surround and destroy. Keep in mind there's some hallucinated units mixed in here, so the army isn't quite as beefy as this. But it also does mean every Predator tank shot that hits a hallucinated unit is one shot that didn't hit a real bike that could have actually killed a real bike. And now the bike buggy going to be pulling along to the south side of the map where another MCV from MasterLeaf is there. And Hammerheads are, I think, trying to deal with something that MasterLeaf is doing but unable to, as the Hammerheads, I think, have all gone down there in the south. A smattering of infantry forces spread throughout the map, but no real army to speak of, as a Juggernaut gets annihilated by bikes rushing through the base of Drive. The Redeemer slowly stomping its way. Defeat calls your name, Drive, and the Redeemer is its call. GG gets called as MasterLeaf able to pull that game back. That was kind of weird. Again, like those hit squads from Drive, they were great in concept, but they didn't do as much as I think he was hoping they would. And then once they were gone, it was sort of like, well, what do you have? He had a bunch of Hammerheads, but they also weren't able to do what he needed. That will do it for game number 5. MasterLeaf starting to claw his way back into the series. Can he equal things up with a 3-3 score, or will he drop down 4-2 to Drive in game number 6? Which takes us to tournament decision. In the south, as the green GDI, this is Drive, up 3-2. And in the north, as the pink Black Hand, this is MasterLeaf. This series started out so weird. And by the way, this is not the no poker version of this map. As you can see, there's no pathway that allows this engineer to get up to that spike much more quickly. Instead, this is the version of the map there where if you're very fast with your anti-infantry squads, you can rush over to your opponent's tib spike to try and grab it away from them to stop them from capturing it. And occasionally we do see that, but most of the time, players are able to grab their 2 Tiberium spikes without too much trouble. This series started out so weird with that first game on Stusa, with MasterLeaf losing it in the manner that he did. Fast Tier 2, by the way, looks like another Orca rush potentially coming out here from Drive. Yep, there we go. And also calls in the call for transport on 3 engineers. So that's tib spike, something else. EMP? No way, right? Maybe a defensive tower? I don't know. Such a weird series that this has turned into, and then a back and forth with some of these games, with Drive being more dominant in some and MasterLeaf more dominant in others, bringing us all the way here to this game number 6, where MasterLeaf has an opportunity to even things up, and that is very annoying to have that Confessor Cabal squad there. Wow, okay, so that did not turn out for Drive. That did not turn out for him at all. Yeah, okay, so he went for the defensive tower. Okay, he is going to be able to get that tib spike. Yeah, the Confessor Cabal squad didn't jump out to get the kill on the engineer. And, well, 1 engineer down, 1 engineer successfully captured, and the other one into the defensive tower. So 1 tib spike successfully captured, 1 not for Drive. What a weird game this has turned into. 2 Orcas through the middle of the map, it looks like, and no, maybe not through the middle of the map. Yeah, they're hunting around in the middle of the map, looking desperately for some targets to hit. They're going to find 1 Harvester. They get 2 and 3 rockets off. They will get the 4th and the kill. A little bit of overkill there, but it doesn't matter. He got the Harvester that he wanted. I don't know that it's worth trading out both Orcas for that. Drive. Okay. He's going one refinery MCV move, so I don't know what Drive's plan is here, but this is going to be either a very fast game or a very weird game, as Drive has got to pull something out of his hat for this match. His Orca Rush did not work, I think, the way he wanted it to. Maybe the build really is you get one Harvester kill and then lose both of your Orcas, but, you know, I'm going to guess that's not quite it. Ooh, very nicely done. Pulls the Harvester off just a little bit early so that it doesn't take any damage from that Orca strike. Well done by MasterLeaf. His MCV is now on the move to the south side of the map, to the Drive side of the map. Drive still has his MCV here. He hasn't dropped an additional refinery. Guessing he's just strapped for cash or something. He's got the defensive tower here, so it's going to be a little bit harder to assault through the middle of the map, but he is just going to be massively behind in eco. Oh, he was actually building a refinery that entire time. He did not have the cash for a refinery and spent that whole time building it. MasterLeaf says 2 can play at that game, builds a barracks to capture his opponent's tip spike, and drops an operations center as well, just to let him know that he is here for the long haul. Drive is going to have to try and play from out of this position. Now, keep in mind, this is tournament decision, so your main starting field is nice and big. And, of course, those of you who play the game a decent amount know that the typical 7 and 3 is the ratio that you go for on that field. So you want 3 refineries, 7 harvesters harvesting this big of a field, and it's definitely worth it because of how big that field is. So he can survive for a little while. Drive, that is. Drive can survive for a little while, but the longer this game goes on, the more money MasterLeaf will be able to harvest, and he will simply be able to overwhelm Drive in that kind of a situation. Beam Cannon's going to be the choice. Ox Transport going for the Scout. That's a Rifleman squad inside of there, so no sneaky engineers. He's going to be calling in an Orca strike, I think, on that power plant. I think that's what that Scout was for from Drive. Got himself another Orca as well. Flame Tank going to be burning down that Tib Spike there. And Buggy's heading out through the middle of the map for MasterLeaf. So MasterLeaf has 3 Tib Spikes and Drive has none. MasterLeaf has Flame Tanks moving into Drive's base, and Drive has no Flame Tanks. Of course, it would be difficult for GDI to have Flame Tanks, but when Flame Tanks are chasing when Orcas are chasing one Flame Tank away in the north, it means they're not dealing with the one in the south. Drive having to sell off that airfield is very problematic. Losing a power plant was also annoying. Going for the upgraded power plant in the corner might be the best move for MasterLeaf in this situation. Forced to sell off into the low power mode goes Drive, doubling the production times and causing even more problems for him. The Flame Tank will go down, but it has done its damage as Drive is looking to try and stabilize himself in this game. EMP coils, holy cow. Are we really at that point in the game where MasterLeaf has EMP coils on his Raider buggies? That, well, another MCV. Redeemer Engineering Facility in the south. This is going to have to be a miracle hold for Drive. He's got a good chunk of Tiberium left, so he can still produce quite a few units. But again, MasterLeaf is in a similar position, just better in virtually every way. First refinery on the expansion fields goes down, and then from there, it's just going to be an uphill battle. Juggernauts are a good way to go, definitely a good move to give him the ability to outrange a lot of the stuff that MasterLeaf has, but having a Redeemer is a big win. It's a big win for MasterLeaf. Drive not giving up, though. He's got his 2 war factories constantly pumping. He's got that tier 3, so he potentially could get railguns or something. I don't know. But really just keeping it around for the Juggernauts. Raider Buggy EMPs that MCV. As it turns out, Juggernauts will splash an MCV that's all packed up like that and do some nice damage to it. Another Raider buggy going to be trying to cut through the defenses of Drive. Going to be potentially firing off on that Juggernaut, stopping it from doing any further damage. And this is probably the point where MasterLeaf is kind of hating the fact that Black Hand don't have any aircraft. I mean, historically, lots of people have hated that fact, but this fact, in this point in particular, where this ridge provides so much cover for these Juggernauts, so much range to these GDI forces, and even this Hammerhead performing the flyover, along with these other Hammerheads meeting up in the middle of the map, are just, it's so nice to be able to have aircraft in this situation. Base crawling with Operations Center, that's how much money MasterLeaf has to drop down to... actually, cut off the build radius, so very nicely done there by Drive. And it looks like that Rage Gen didn't really do very much. This Obelisk is going to get a couple of extra shots that it wouldn't ordinarily because the Redeemer is drawing all of that fire, but it will end up falling there after another shot or two, and the Redeemer getting pulled back with double Engineer inside of it for maximum tanking capability. And these beam cannons, if they could ever get a shot off, they might be able to actually do some serious damage. Spectre, on the other hand, is going to get some nice splash off, but not enough to really stop this attack. Juggernaut's continuing to press on forward, and unfortunately for MasterLeaf, his economic advantage isn't getting him very much. He's getting completely pushed back from that field, and he's still got this refinery over here, which means he can still continue to harvest, but he's slowly being beaten back, and honestly, at this point, it might be worth like another flame tank going in the back or the side or something, as MasterLeaf is trying to find, I'm guessing, some kind of alternate angle of engagement, because GDI, with the artillery, with the toughness of their forces, do have a good time with a direct frontal assault like this. Hammerhead's cutting through, taking a couple of shots from those SAM sites. Secret Shrine also gets sold off, and it's going to be EMP Raider buggies and a Redeemer to try and break this GDI front line for MasterLeaf. He's going to try desperately to cut through that Tier 3 armor with just his Tier 1, and it definitely can happen. If the EMPs are good, the Redeemer will be able to contend with these Juggernauts. But if the Juggernauts are able to just... Ooh, long-distance harvesting. 4 harvesters full of Tiberium, a 5th one as well. MasterLeaf is now aware of this, seeing it with his scouts in that building. But he actually can't do anything about it. Harvesting this field in the south, it's going to be pretty much completely gone, which means Drive has bought enough time. And even though long-distance harvesting isn't ideal, it's still certainly something. And it's probably going to end up equaling almost the same income as MasterLeaf here, with the shorter drive time, but with this much smaller field. Zone Troopers inside of one of those Hammerheads, and MasterLeaf being put into a little bit of an awkward position. MCV on the move to the north. Keep in mind, he does still have that multi-MCV going on. And Drive, he's pulled back a lot of his forces, which potentially makes these Juggernauts weak, but MasterLeaf right now has nothing to do about that. Wow, MasterLeaf trying to long-distance harvest himself, but unable to. Great split on these units by Drive. A nice concave that he can hold, and, well, forcing MasterLeaf to attack into a concave of Juggernauts like that. Also means the EMPs are not going to be very effective. Great Orca strike there, killing one harvester, doing massive splash damage to other harvesters. MCV in the north, going to be setting up some obelisks, and MasterLeaf desperately needs to shut down this economy of Drive. Huge, overwhelming forces pushing in here for MasterLeaf. Could just potentially go for the kill on all of these forces, but he's not going to chance it. He wants to fight it out a little bit longer as Drive's MCV is here. Infantry forces pushing in from the right while Bike Buggy contends in the middle. They need to go for the kill on the harvesters as well, but they're more concerned about the Predator tanks. Watchtowers going down, extra defenses here for Drive, as this is a lot of Bike Buggy, but of course they do get burned away quickly by that AP ammo of GDI. And for now, the harvesters are mostly safe. One dies on the field there, but Drive Actually, MasterLeaf actually has pretty safe harvesting down here. Drive has completely conceded the south part of the map, which means all of the fighting is up here, so the more MasterLeaf can deny this Tiberium and the more he can harvest this, it just puts him further in the lead. Drive, fighting from an awkward position very early on, has staunchly defended his role to be in this game and has done so very well. But now, without additional income, MasterLeaf may simply just win a war of attrition. I don't know that that Drive, if he can't get that, if he can't secure that Tiberium, I don't know that Drive is going to be able to hold out in the long term. SAM sites go down. They clean up one hammerhead before getting cleaned up themselves. Bike buggy swarming in from the side, cleaning up a couple more hammerheads. And that is a lot of potential rockets on these Juggernauts. 3 Juggernauts do still stand on the front line as MasterLeaf is just driving all over the place, not really shooting very much. Predator tanks mixed in so nicely just to cut down these last couple of bikes. And for now, Drive is getting pushed back. I thought he was actually going to be able to make more happen on the front line than he was actually able to, having to pull back because of the obelisks, and he's down to just the 2 Juggernauts being forced to kill his own husk so that it wouldn't be reclaimed. A nice volley of missiles from MasterLeaf, almost leaving that Juggernaut alive, but not quite, as an operations center goes down for the extra build radius for this obelisk. Getting a shot on the last Juggernaut. MasterLeaf may have finally done it. Won the war of attrition with Drive, and now the Redeemer is here to help clean up the pieces. MasterLeaf doesn't have much of a force, but he's got the obelisks on the front line. He's got the Redeemer on the front line, and I don't know that he needs too much more to deny this area from Drive. This beam cannon slowly working away at that defensive tower. It's going to take a while, but eventually it will burn it down. An obelisk here in the north going to be stopping those Predator tanks from making too much more headway. And Predator tanks will deal with the obelisk in numbers, but those are pretty weak Predator tanks to be able to do anything. Redeemer stepping forward once again, getting a kill on an engineer, getting a kill on a power plant. And Drive is just about out of answers. He's just about out of options, trying to long-distance harvest this field in the south, but he doesn't have the same kind of economic situation that MasterLeaf does. An unfortunate ending to the game for Drive, and it will take us into the game number 7. Into the ace match, into the final for this tournament finals. And yeah, yikes, that resource difference from these two guys. 40,000 credits of difference between MasterLeaf and Drive. Drive did incredibly well in that game. I can't believe how well he held on there, but in the end, MasterLeaf, with the war of attrition, the winner in the long run. But it all comes down to this game number 7. Let's find out who is going to take the May Command Post Tournament Finals. Which takes us to Tournament Dust Bowl No Poker. All the games I've seen on this map, I've never realized there's a Humvee just sitting right there. If you remember back in the Tibdon days of the Humvee. In the north, as the green GDI fighting it out to the last map. This is Drive! In the south, as the pink Black Hand going for a very fast secret shrine. This is MasterLeaf! That Black Disciple upgrade is going to be the answer to his questions. The answer to his problems. How do you win? Game number 7 versus Drive. The ace match. The final one of this tournament. A weird story that this series has been telling. The domination by Drive. The domination by MasterLeaf. And it all comes down to this. MasterLeaf and Drive going to be contending for map positioning around here. But of course, all of these buildings, they can be cleared so easily by MasterLeaf. He's got his refinery out. He's got his war factory as well. And he's going to be putting a bit of pressure on Drive. He's going to be heading right for those harvesters, I guess. Rifleman squad out for Drive, second APC as well. Drive saw this coming. And Watchtower as well, going to be going down. Drive may be dropping a couple of mines as well, trying to lure in those rocket squads, but you have to get the mines pretty far out to be able to lure the rocket squads into them. They have pretty good range, those rocket squads. Harvester's taking a little bit of damage here. MasterLeaf doesn't care. He's just going to press on forward. He'll get the kill on one APC. No, it actually survives. Barely. The repairs do manage to save it. And, of course, the bikes as the follow-up give this attack so much more punch than it normally would have. The infantry have almost all gone down. The APCs and the Watchtower is able to deal with that just fine. MasterLeaf dives on the APC that's low on health, takes a good hit on his bikes for it, but he will survive for now. He will be able to move on. Rifleman squad's going to be going for a little bit of damage on that Harvester. I think the Harvester was maybe trying to go for the crush there. Unable to even things up on in the terms of the economy. MasterLeaf, he's just got that one refinery. He's churning out more and more, well, Harvesters now. He was churning out bikes and trying to make that work, but I think he's just he's too far behind the count now. There's too many APCs out. The Harvesters haven't taken enough damage. They've gotten all of these free repairs. Even Rocket Squad's going to be coming out onto the map. And, yeah, the bikes have to pull away. So MasterLeaf is now going to be fighting from a position of weakness and of difficulty. He's going to be down on the economy front by one Harvester. Well, he's now going to be a little bit more equal in that sense. Drive packed up his MCV. He did not drop a second refinery, so he's going to be, you know, able to stabilize. Both of these players are going to be able to stabilize from that kind of a position. Drive, I think, yeah, he's got at least a couple of rocket squads in some of these APCs. One of them at least has a rifleman squad, so it's not all rockets as we saw on Stusa, which was a lovely rocket APC attack. Instead, MasterLeaf is going to have to deal with a couple fewer rockets, and of course, he's not Traveler in this case. APC's taking a lot of damage from the bikes. It's the one with the rifleman squad, so not actually the big killer there. As these rocket squads fire off a couple of shots, the bikes rush in, trying to get off a volley from a distance, and the building does get cleared out. MasterLeaf may actually want to try and garrison a couple of these buildings just to act as a deterrent for these APCs, kind of push them away a little bit more. Rifleman squad comes in. MasterLeaf deals with it easily. Another couple of rifleman squads on the right side of the map going for that scout. Always trying to keep eyes on his opponent is Drive. APC is going to be heading over to the natural expansion location. And MasterLeaf drops now another hand of nod to try and help deal with these APCs. And his bikes and his rockets are in the middle of the map, heading north for Drive's base, for Drive's own Harvesters. And for now, the APCs will maybe get pushed back by these rocket squads. Going to be able to clean up one APC, a second one very low on health, and Drive losing another Harvester. MasterLeaf starting to make this attack work for him. Getting an APC, getting a Harvester is definitely very nice there. In the south, the APCs turn back to re-engage with these Harvesters, but they're having a hard time actually getting the kills and actually securing those kills of MasterLeaf's Harvesters. So MasterLeaf now finally drops his second refinery minutes into this game. Finally builds his second refinery. And these rockets, I feel like they're just getting split across all of these Harvesters. So you've got two Harvesters that are basically on half health, but this APC has been unable to actually finish any of them off. Mine drop in the middle of the field is a nice touch for sure. One Harvester finally does go down to the rocket squads in the middle there, and the infantry trigger most of those mines, able to deplete them before the Harvesters run over them. Again, MasterLeaf trying to kind of even things out economically. He's got his MCV poised for an expansion refinery, but he doesn't actually have the cash to warrant building one. Drive got his expansion up and running. I think Drive's in the better position here. It's hard to tell with all of the chaos of this game, but yeah, okay. So Drive definitely has more Harvesters. He's got actual refineries on his natural expansion, so yeah, it's like 5 Harvesters versus 7 or 8, which, you know, it's possible for MasterLeaf to win. Yeah, I think it's 8 Harvesters on Drive's side. So not double the economy for drive, but close to double the economy for drive. MasterLeaf can definitely pull this one out of his hat, but I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him. Drive is going to get scouted by this bike. The bike is going to see pretty much everything that there is to see before going down. Command post gets dropped by drive, and he doesn't immediately start AP ammo, so this could just be for the Tier 3 tech-up, or even an airfield potentially, as drive does love his double airfield play. A couple of rocket squads inside of these APCs coming in for the cleanup crew. Going to be calling in an Orca strike as well, actually forcing the sell-off of that refinery, forcing the harvester to run away and get some repairs. 3 APCs with rockets can do some pretty good damage versus harvesters, and MasterLeaf is desperately trying to stop this attack, drafting squad after squad from the turrets, even building a second and a third hand of Nod, trying to use the ball to crush these APCs to stop this attack from killing any actual harvesters, and he actually will be able to do it as long as he doesn't mess this up in the last couple of seconds. The APCs won't have enough DPS to kill those harvesters. In the middle of the map, a couple of rocket squads going to be coming on back home. APCs trying to find the escape route, but MasterLeaf seems to have them surrounded. MasterLeaf able to stabilize here. And it looks like that rocket squad finally did go down. I don't think it got the kill on any more harvesters. Double airfield from drive. The Tier 2 also up for MasterLeaf. Drive moving his MCV, I assume, to the third field location. Interesting, he decides to sell off that second airfield after, I think, just building 2 or maybe 3 hammerheads with it. So not a lot of hammerheads, but he gets them out a little bit faster, and, you know, the airfield isn't that expensive, just 1,000 credits. You get half of them back, plus a rifleman squad, so you're not actually down that much in terms of income, and you get those hammerheads out super, super fast. MCV on the move to the third field location for drive, makes a sudden move towards the middle of the map. We'll have to see if that actually turns into anything. Yeah, actually it is. He's heading over to MasterLeaf's third field. So potentially just going to try and contend MasterLeaf right on his front door. And I mean, it could definitely work. This is a lot of hammerheads. They're going to be able to poke in and not really do anything. MasterLeaf with the double MCV play once again, calling in an Orca strike is drive. There are so many SAM sites being spread out throughout the map. And these rocket squads, you know, they can absorb a bit of damage, get off a couple of shots against those hammerheads, and then if they die, it's not that much of a loss. As long as you're trading out fairly equally with the hammerheads, MasterLeaf is going to be in an okay position. MCV sets up over at MasterLeaf's third field location, but MasterLeaf is like, okay, I'm just going to base crawl over to your third field location, and we'll call it even. Battle marker there, just a little bit of Tiberium infecting those infantry units, and calls in a combat support airfield. Not something you see very often, but it allows you to refuel your planes and, of course, get repairs for the hammerheads who never need to refuel or rearm. Predator tank showing up on the left side of the map. Power plant going to be trying to body block for this Redeemer as the APCs are trying to get on top of this as well. The hammerheads are the big threat here because the bikes and the obelisks can deal with the stuff on the ground. Well, I guess even a hand of Nod for a couple of rocket squads are going to be able to deal with the stuff on the ground. But dealing with the aircraft is a little bit more difficult. Hammerheads get pulled to the north side of the map. They've taken some serious damage, but not enough to actually kill very many of them off. Rocket squads and SAM sites getting some nice DPS off on these Predator tanks as they try and move away from this army. An APC goes down and a Predator tank might get eliminated before they make it to the other side of those buildings. Oh, the dumpsters blocked him. The dumpsters are the real killer of those Predator tanks. 2 more Preds going down, and this feels a bit like not last game, but 2 games ago, game number 5, where bleeding off a lot of APCs and a lot of Predator tanks. Killing this squad of infantry is definitely nice, but that is not the main army of MasterLeaf. You want to be able to do something about this Redeemer on the left side of the map. You want to be able to do something about stopping his expansions over there on the left side of the map. Big Harvester Exodus, it looks like, on the field for MasterLeaf as he's going to be transferring a lot of his Harvesters from that bottom right-hand corner over here to this fresh new field. And his Redeemer is just going to stomp his way north. He's going to go stomp, stomp, stomp. I'm here to burn down your infrastructure. I'm here to burn down your homes and your villages as Predator tanks and APC are pulling back away from MasterLeaf's natural expansion, back up north to the third base location of Drive. He's got that Tier 3 on the way. Well, not on the way. He's got that Tier 3 here, which means, of course, Juggernauts and potentially Railguns also on the way for his Predator tanks. A couple of rocket squads here. A couple of watchtowers also here on the front line. There's the sell-off of the airfield. There's the sell-off of that power plant. And this command post, well, actually, it is long for this world as everything turns south to do nothing, I guess. Hammerheads rushing in. They're going to be able to kill a couple of these harvesters. One of them did have a decent amount of Tiberium in it, but the other one was empty. Rage Gen fires off, and these Predators and these APCs are going to get surrounded and mostly eliminated, as some of these are hallucinated units, so not actually as much DPS as it looks like. 3 Predator tanks, yep, go down. 1 more remains, and yikes. Not good for Drive. This Predator tank doesn't manage... Never mind. It almost managed to survive with just a bit of health. There's the sell-off of the command post. There's the sell-off of the refinery as well. This entire natural expansion has been sacked by Drive. He's going to have to rebuild that stuff if he wants it back. I don't know that he actually needs the Tier 2 right now. He's going for the Marv. I must call it the Redeemer. He's going for the Marv, which means he's definitely bought enough time. This Hammerhead's flying over a lot of anti-air, and they're going to pay the price as all but 3 of them go down. All but none of them survive. Oh my gosh, that turned so bad so fast, and then it kept turning bad for so much longer than I expected. I thought it was going to be over, but the carnage just didn't end. Okay, he might need that Tier 2 if he wants to ever have Hammerheads again. Oh no. Oh, this isn't your fault. That is not your fault, Drive. I'm sorry, buddy. He notices. Oh, that kind of stuff is so annoying, so aggravating when something that should be isn't. His income dropped a little bit there. I don't know how long that harvester was dancing. Those 3 harvesters all jammed up in a line, unable to refine that Tiberium, and maybe it was just a couple of seconds, so the amount of income that was denied to Drive isn't significant. But when little glitches like that are significant, it's so frustrating for the players. But Marv able to clear out that building. Juggernauts are definitely helping. I think Drive needs to buy a little bit more time. The thing about Black Hand is they have such vast armies. They often aren't very powerful. Or they often... Ooh. 1 refinery down. 2nd refinery there. It's still alive and kicking. And, you know, the harvesters are going to be able to transition up there. Anyways, the thing about these Black Hand armies is that they're vast, but they're not necessarily very heavyweight. So lots of infantry, lots of buggy. Yeah, they can definitely hit hard and kill stuff quickly. But if you can draw them out, if you can bleed them out, they die very quickly. Light armor, low HP, the exception, of course, in this case, being the Redeemer, which has got plenty of HP and an engineer inside of there for the free repairs. Refinery going down on Drive's natural expansion. MasterLeaf is trying to just surround Drive with expansions. And when MasterLeaf has like a 180-degree surround of Drive with buildings, he'll know that he's in a pretty good position. Drive is going to push on down south. The unfortunate thing for him is MasterLeaf hasn't left very much there for him to grab. 1 flame tank going to be coming in, forcing the sell-off of these power plants. And honestly, at this point, it may actually be doing more damage to sell off the power plant. I don't know, it's like, it sends you into the low power mode, so tip Vapor Bomb on top of these harvesters. And, or Mine Drop maybe. Yeah. That doesn't do as much damage to the harvesters as I would have thought. Tier 3 gets sold off. No more Juggernauts. No more Tier 3 for Drive. A total surround of this army, it feels like, as Predator tanks in the north get cut off from the Juggernauts in the middle. And this one Juggernaut isn't even having a good day. Rage Gen fires off. MasterLeaf surrounding and destroying the army of Drive. This Marv in the south getting pushed back by hordes of infantry as Drive has not very much, virtually nothing. He's got lots of harvesters. He's got a ton of harvesters. almost literally 2,000 harvesters, but nowhere to take this Tiberium, nowhere to refine it. So much cash, unable to use it. Man. What a weird ending for this tournament. And MasterLeaf, with the Secret Shrine opening, I didn't think he was going to be able to pull it out from the kind of the mid-game, but he totally was able to. Once they transitioned into the third field, it was much more MasterLeaf's game. Now, Drive, of course, isn't totally out of it. He's got a second refinery up, which in this case, that second refinery is going to pay for itself very, very quickly. And the Marv does have 2 engineers and 2 zone troopers in it, so he can do a lot of damage with that Marv and keep it alive for a good long while. Watchtowers here in the south, and this is the exact sort of thing that Drive needs to do, is bleed out the army of MasterLeaf. MasterLeaf has like 10 Tiberium fields, so this is going to have to happen a lot for Drive to really win this game, because the amount of Tiberium that MasterLeaf has access to is insane. But this is like, you know, step 1 in a 200 step list, in a 200 item checklist for Drive, is like bleed out army by army these engagements. Drive with the Juggernauts has a decent chance of holding off an army if he can keep the Juggernauts alive and just constantly shelling from a distance. But the more and more that MasterLeaf closes the gap, the worse and worse it gets for Drive. Tib Vein Detonation, weakening everything. The one-clicks don't stop with MasterLeaf. So many harvesters backed up, trying to refine that Tiberium. EMPs fire off in an epic fashion, lighting everything up and powering it down as obelisks go down 1 for 1 with these forces of Drive. MasterLeaf pushing forward, even a War Factory and a Hand of Nod on the front line to provide immediate reinforcements into this engagement. Spikes swing around to the right side to do finishing damage to a lot of these harvesters and units. MasterLeaf dropping more obelisks onto the front line as the Marv gets crushed, as Drive's forces evaporate, as engineers die and buildings collapse. MasterLeaf presses on, further forward, further on. Dropping Tiberium on top of his opponent as a not very mannered way to say, get out of this game. I'm literally giving you money and you can't do anything with it. Drive has fought admirably, Drive has fought well, but the GG will get called and the sun will set on this series. There's the fire sale. Drive has been defeated. The finals goes to MasterLeaf. Well played to Drive, I have to say, providing a compelling and interesting finals. Some of the games are a little bit one-sided. You know, thinking back to game number 1, how it started. Well, actually, thinking back to game number 1, this tournament series, how it started is not how it ended. What a wild ride, ups and downs for these guys. Some great action in Kane's Wrath happening even today at the start of June. And of course, this was supposed to be between MasterLeaf and Bike Rush. That's how the semifinals turned out. I don't know how Drive ended up here, but he did. He played some great games, and at the end of the day, it didn't matter because MasterLeaf was able to clinch the victory. Thank you all very much for watching, and congratulations to MasterLeaf for the tournament victory and a good game to Drive. I hope you guys enjoyed this series, and this is Sybert, signing out.